Imagine yourself being at the doctor's and the doctor is bringing you the worst possible news. You are now experiencing such a rapid fundamental shift in your being that you, for the next couple of days, will likely enter a state of shock. You feel like you are already dead. Let's examine the cause of events without its emotional context. A handful of words, dreadful words, spoken by a human being like yourself, a person of authority, have the power to shift your awareness completely. Is, when you think about it, almost impossible to fathom. However you want to put it, it is an incredible shift. But let's see what's really going on here. Is it the words themselves? No. If your local barista tells you the same thing, you will most likely think that that person is dark and weird. No, it's the person of authority that changes everything. The barista has no authority over you in medical matters, but if he or she tells you about a new coffee blend they have come up with, you would pay attention. But here is the thing. The doctor might have a more aligned taste with you when it comes to coffee. And the barista might see something on you that he have experienced himself and knows how to solve. Hi, my name is Carl and I am not AI. This is recorded by a human and the information you are about to hear is based on personal experience only. In this video I will show you ways how the world is constantly manifesting beliefs onto you and how you can use this mechanism to your own benefit. To see how deep this belief goes, and one you probably have heard 100 times by now, is you imagine yourself eating the bitterest and sourest lemon you could find. Right now, feel yourself taking a huge bite straight into that lemon. I am not just salivating, I am also getting a bit of pain in my stomach. I cannot tolerate lemons that well. Now, let's zoom out hard from all emotional baggage and see what we have here. Now we know two things. 1. Beliefs of total certainty assert major control over our minds, and 2. Our minds assert control of our bodies and our perceived reality. We know feelings can be created by yourself, like with a bitter lemon, or a person of authority, like with a doctor. We also know that feelings can come in the blink of an eye, an instant triggering of a response. A person's words and beliefs affect you relative to what you think of that person's authority. Just quickly pointing out that if there is any weakness and place where emotional parasite can enter and exert their influence over us, it's this. This is the point of entry. An account manager at the bank is a professional whose expertise is finance. A doctor in a specialized clinic knows more about a certain disease than most other doctors. A car mechanic specialized with Toyota cars knows more about Toyotas than a mechanic that only works with Nissan cars. This is all logical and makes perfect sense, but strangely enough, none of this has to be true. It can be true, but I've seen this myself countless times. People of specialized expertise fare generally less well than people with a broader knowledge of things. It's the classic, you can't see the forest because of all the damn trees are in the way. Once I had an extremely bad reflux, and it didn't get better no matter what I did. I drank teas, I changed my diet, I meditated, did yogic fire breathing. Nothing helped. I went to the doctor, I got a bag full of acid-reducing pills and revolting liquids. did not help one bit. Then one day a friend of mine, not knowing about my reflux issues, saw me working at my computer one day and said, "Man, you are really not sitting properly." Immediately I felt it. By some odd reason I had squeezed myself into a weird bent shape in front of the computer. I thought about it and did some simple yoga exercises to stretch and target the exact part I was squeezing together. And within hours my reflux started to improve, and within 2 days it was completely gone. It was nothing about diet or me stressing out, producing too much acid. The doctor was too deep into the forest of knowledge of medical substances. He couldn't take into contemplation the problem was mechanical in nature. A wise man once said, "Believe none of what you hear and only half of what you see." At the time I thought it was just an edgy catchphrase to say, but as years have gone by, I'm getting closer to be fully on board with this. The world is indeed a very strange place. My guiding principles is always to listen to what people of authority say, but never take it to heart. It might be true. It might also not be true. Be agnostic. There might be vital things that are not being included. Trust should never be given, but earned. If you have a doctor that is right more than he is wrong, then that person has earned my respect. But a new doctor I never worked with before? No, please. No free handouts of trust. This is also why you should be extremely wary of watching the news. This might sound cynical, but in my experience, most major news outlets have an agenda. Often the agenda is political in nature. Even if you are leaning towards a certain political mindset, be aware that someone outside yourself is deliberately trying to frame things in a certain way. Why? Doesn't really matter. Just be aware that, like with any politician, they will say things that are undeniably true. And yet they constantly leave out things that are equally important and won't paint their cause with the same vivid colors. This is something that has been a problem for a long time, and something I personally hoped that AI would overcome, but sadly even AI, at least in 2026, is extremely biased. Let's explore some ways we can use this to our own benefit. Let me ask you this: who would you trust most as your spiritual guide? A person with a $500 haircut, expensive business suit, talking loudly and rapid about the stock market? Or a glassy-eyed person wrapped in a colorful blanket, sitting staring out in the void with an unkempt beard and muttering slowly about things you barely understand? Who would you take financial advice from? The guy who haven't had a meeting with a pair of scissors for the last 10 years and had breadcrumbs stuck in his beards? Right, maybe not. By nature, I am a very comfortable person. My first, second and third priority when it comes to buying clothes is that they are comfortable. And for the longest time I've, sad to admit this, did not hold a favorable view on people who hide behind outer appearances. I felt it was superficial. Reluctantly, I admitted that, sure, I know, in the business world, you have to follow a certain code to be taken seriously. The same with every other field. Years later, I recognized that there is a deeper and much more important aspect of this that I completely failed to see. When Bruce Wayne puts on his Batsuit, he becomes Batman, not just for the world, but also for himself. This often happens with actors. Willem Dafoe found the character Bobby Peru in the David Lynch movie Wild at Heart the moment he tried the dental prosthetics. It just opened up, like trying the right key in the right lock. You can use this, and this is how. If you want to be athletic, dress up like athletics. Act like they do. Begin by going to a fancy gym one time as a shadowy spy. While you do your exercises, you observe. Observe how they act by themselves among others. Take notice of their behavior. Earlier in my life, I was working a lot with musicians, especially singers. I quickly noticed that they relaxed around me if the studio looked professional, especially with lots of cool-looking hardware boxes and blinking lights. Cozy and relaxed, sure, but also creating the impression that this means business. That in stark contrast to when I had to make a quick professional recording in a room with really bad acoustics. I took a foam mattress, shaped it as a V, placed the microphone at the bottom. It was one of the best recordings I've ever made. Any recording engineer would applaud me for the quick and clever solution. But the singer lost all her confidence in me. Years later, I met her at an event, and the only she remembered about me was that she sang into a mattress. By observing people who are what you want to become, you will find valuable clues to help you on your way. A person who dresses up as a clown will not be taken seriously in the doctor's office. A bicyclist who dresses up in full Tour de France regalia is on his way to do the big race. One last thing before I let you go. Another part of this is that you now also are reprogramming the expectations of your environment. You remember earlier what I said about being in the spider's net of other people's expectations of us? That swings in both directions. If they start to see you as athletic, a fantastic chef, or a magnet for good jobs, they will start manifesting unconsciously onto you as well. Now you are the one being manifested onto. This is also how advertisements are working. A piece of chocolate being eaten by a famous athlete, Brad Pitt driving a long way on his motorcycle to buy a certain brand of coffee. Manifestations are everywhere when you start to look. Observe people who are what you want to become. Then copy their way of being.